sorry for the audio difficulties, everybody. We certainly apologize for that. At least we're getting you something tonight. And I do want to send a shout out to Rob, our mutual friend and producer and our audio engineer, and my best friend Bryce, for their best due diligence on this. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen tonight, but I got the Dizzle with me, Dave Gerzak. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. It's good to hear. We are doing the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour Sans guest. We will be rescheduling our Pros versus Joes drafter, Scott Colby, for a different week. So I apologize we couldn't get him on, but we will get him on shortly. Coming up on tonight's show, we're going to discuss what your expectations should be concerning Deebo Samuel's return, how LeSean McCoy is going to affect the Bucs backfield, and we're going to talk much, much more about everything else that has been going on in the NFL over the last week. You can actually connect with us on HSFF Hour, at Eric Balkman, at David Gerzak, Facebook.com/HSFF Hour. 347-426-3682 is the normal number. Don't call us because we're not doing the show live on BTR tonight. HighStakesFantasyFootball@gmail.com is where you can reach us as well. All right, I want to remind everybody you can save $400 on your additional teams in the FFPC main event right now. Early draft slot announcement coming out sometime this Sunday. Main event slow drafts are going on right now. 2020 Football Guys Players Championship, that features a $500,000 grand prize and a $3.1 million prize pool. The Terminator Tournament actually starts on Sunday, so if you want to get in on that, take a shot at a $25,000 grand prize, please do. Best Ball Slims, Best Ball Classics, other Best Balls, all available, as well as Dynasty Startups at myffpc.com. Thanks to Football Guys, RotoWorld, and Rob for tonight's rundown. All right, let's kick things off with Adam Schefter's tweet. The Bucs have signed LeSean McCoy, who used to be with the Chiefs last year. It is a one-year, $1 million contract. LeSean McCoy had some interest from a few teams, but he had to wait until camp to sign almost a veteran minimum contract. Last year, LeSean McCoy did not look like the LeSean McCoy we were accustomed to seeing over the past few years, and it isn't going to be a huge difference maker in Tampa. But what he is going to do is be a huge pain in the butt for those Ronald Jones and Keyshawn Vaughn owners. Now, both players have been targeted in the 6th and 7th rounds so far this year in the Football Guys Players Championship, the FFPC main event. And obviously, if you bring McCoy into the picture, it's going to hurt both Vaughn and Jones, and it's not going to make McCoy all that valuable either. Dave, knowing what we know now, how excited are you about drafting Ronald Jones and Keyshawn Vaughn? How much did this McCoy thing change your thinking on the Bucs' backs?
For me, I still like Ronald Jones, and hopefully I get a discount now thanks to Shady McCoy coming in. I'm thinking he's going to drop a little bit back to where he kind of was because he had been moving on up, just like the Jeffersons. Yeah, right. So I think he drops down a little bit due to Shady McCoy, but I don't think he's going to have much of an impact.
And you think Vaughn stays basically where he has been? This doesn't affect him as much as it affects Jones?
I think he drops a bit as well, but I prefer Jones myself. So that's just
because of the veteran aspect of it. Basically.
I think Jones is turning into a professional running back. He came in the NFL really young. He was underweight, didn't do well as a rookie. He's up to 2.25 or something like that. He's
correct.
Working out, training hard. I think Ronald Jones might have. He has a potential to have a really good year.
All right, so as I look at it right now, I wanted to get these the official numbers to you as far as where these players are going. Once again, shout out to Darren Armani from FantasyMojo.com, who does a great job formulating all this FFPC ADP for us over the last 4 days.
I'm sure he has a program that does it. He doesn't really do anything.
In the Football Guys Players Championship, Ronald Jones, well, he spent all that time putting together Pros versus Joes. Ronald Jones going at the 601 over the last 4 days. He has gone as high as the 504, Dave. He slipped as late as the 605, so very tight window there for Ronald Jones. Keyshawn Vaughn, as we look at him, 906 is his ADP, gone as early as the 803, slipped as late as the 1104. So you look at a guy like that, certainly there is a much greater variability in his window. And I'm just looking at LeSean McCoy here, 1608. Dave, he's been a 16th round pick. He's been picked in 2 drafts since he was signed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as running back 68. If you own Ronald Jones and you don't want to take Keyshawn Vaughn to lock up that Bucs backfield, would you be looking at LeSean McCoy in the 16th?
Probably not as of this moment. No, probably not. I'd probably go some other direction, I'm guessing. I mean, there's wide receivers I kind of like there. Even, last gasp tight ends possibly. You're not getting Dawson Knox there, but maybe you can get Probably maybe not Greg Olson, but
Will Dissly. Dawson Knox actually goes after LaShawn McCoy, so you could get Knox there.
Yeah, so I would take Knox for sure. Like that. Or there's tons of wide receivers in that spot where you can start going with defenses and kickers.
David Njoku, CJ Uzomah, Kyle Rudolph, all going after LaShawn McCoy in drafts right now, so that's where we're at on that. All right, so let's talk about Damian Williams here. He opted out of the 2020 NFL season, according to the Chiefs on Twitter. The Brett Veach, who is the GM of Kansas City, says he supports Williams' decision. Certainly, that's he put himself first and his family first, making this decision, and he'll be ready to rejoin Kansas City in 2021. This is obviously the biggest player to opt out of the season so far, which I guess is good. In the sense that he was like a 5th or 6th round pick. You haven't seen anybody, opt out of the first couple of rounds.
And since he did, no one else of note in the skill positions has opted out. And that deadline is, I believe, August 3rd at midnight.
I believe that's correct. Yeah, August 3rd. So that's coming up
Sunday night. Sunday night.
Monday night, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's right. Today's the 31st.
Yeah, so it'll be Monday night at midnight. Right. All right, so let's attack this one by one here. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Dave. As far as we look at his ADP right now, 206 is where he's going on average.
Had been going.
He has gone as high as the 104.
I've seen he's been going like in the first round now, pretty much.
Right. So now, knowing what you know about the Football Guys Players Championship, the main event where he had been going before, does he hold some water for you in the late first, or are you looking elsewhere?
No, I mean he makes sense. I mean, as a late first round pick, I mean. Yeah, I can see the argument if you believe in his skill set. The thing is, everything is tailor made for him to have a great season with the team, the offense, the way that Andy Reid uses backs. He generally doesn't like to use young backs as early, but I mean they did invest that early pick in him, so I can see. I mean, people are taking him 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean that totally, it's understandable. I get it. Makes sense.
Odds that he finishes the season as a top 10 running back, not odds, percentage chance. Is it higher than 70?
With injuries, I would say it's probably a little bit lower than 70 because of possible injuries. But I think if you assume he plays 16 games, I think it's probably higher than 70.
Okay. Quick, would you rather Clyde Edwards-Helaire with you here, Dave? What?
Right.
You don't want to do it?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Kenyon Drake?
I would take Edwards-Helaire given what's happened now.
Okay. I think I would still take Drake. Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Joe Mixon?
God, that's such an interest. I mean, Mixon's a veteran on an awful team, and Helaire is the rookie on a fantastic team.
Super Bowl champs, yeah.
If I was in a national tournament, I might take Helaire there. I think.
I think you're right. Closed league, I'm probably leaning towards Mixon, but if I'm playing in the FFPC main or the Football Guys Players Championship, I'm probably taking Edwards-Helaire. All right, here's a fun little one. Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Miles Sanders, Dave?
Oh man, you know what?
I don't even know which way to go on this one.
I'm not even sure.
It's like hype versus hype.
Yeah, I know. I'll take Sanders.
I'm going to give the slight edge to him just because I feel like I'm going to go with the less hyped guy right now. So now everybody's on CEH, so I'll take Miles Sanders. All right, I think this is going to be the last one, depending upon how you answer it. Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Derrick Henry, the bruising running back out of Nashville?
I knew you were going to say that. I'll take Henry.
I would too, and yeah, that'll be it. Because you're going to take Dalvin Cook over CEH, right?
Yes.
Me too. All right, fair enough. Moving on to the other Kansas City backs. Dave, who are you taking here as far as backs go now that you know Damian Williams is out? Are you interested in Darwin Thompson? Are you interested in DeAndre Washington? Are you interested in somebody else in Kansas City's backfield? Because none of these guys are going uber high right now.
I haven't even really looked up who supposedly is now the number 2, so I'm not sure. I mean, I can't even tell you. I guess, Darwin Thompson had all that hype, but I never ended up with him, and that was fine. I was fine with that. Washington's interesting. I mean, he's actually a pretty talented back, it seems like, and so maybe him.
Ourlads.com, I don't know the last time they updated this, but they do list Darwin Thompson as the backup. Darrell Williams is still there. Remember when he was a thing last year for about 2 or 3 weeks? DeAndre Washington, obviously the free agent signing. And I didn't realize this. Elijah McGuire's on this team. Remember Eli McGuire was like the sexy late-round pick for the Jets?
Yeah.
And just never materialized there. As far as FFPC drafters go, I can tell you that DeAndre Washington has gone as high as the 1405, Dave, over the last 4 days. Darwin Thompson has gone as high as the 1511. Darrell Williams, I don't think has been. Oh, no, he has. He's gone as early as the 1701. Actually, that's the only in the Football Guys Players Championship. He was only selected in one draft over the last 4 days, and he went up to 1701. And Elijah McGuire has not been selected yet. So I think based on that, DeAndre Washington is probably the guy to own. But I mean, who knows at this point? You know, you want to take a stab on somebody, go ahead. But I don't really have any further knowledge on who that's going to be, quite frankly. And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here. I don't know if Kansas City knows who that guy is going to be yet either. They might still be trying to figure that out when their actual regular season starts. So this just makes Clyde Edwards-Helaire all the more attractive. Now, one of the things I've noticed on Twitter, and you tell me if this changes your mind at all. Plenty of people, and I think Darren Armani's actually put this out. I'd have to check his Twitter to find out for sure, but there's plenty of people who took like McCaffrey, Barkley, Elliott, Kamara within the first 4 picks, and then they ended up getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the 4th round.
I've heard there's some. I don't know about plenty.
Yeah, no, okay. By plenty, I mean it's not like it's non-existent. I mean that there are some out there. How prevalent it is, I don't know. Knowing that, are you still willing to take Edwards-Helaire in the late first, and then try to cobble together guys after that, or are you better off trying to formulate a different plan of attack in the first round?
I think I'd still be okay with it, even in a tournament, national tournament, where you have to deal with some of the other stuff like a Barkley, because things. I mean, there's so much turnover, turmoil,
injuries, COVID, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, all sorts of stuff happens during the season. Wide receivers work out. I mean, as someone who takes McCaffrey and Clyde Edwards-Helaire could have a good season, McCaffrey could have a good season, and that owner could still not make the playoffs for whatever reason.
Right.
They mismanage their team, their tight ends suck, quarterback, whatever. So it doesn't mean that they're like locked into beating you necessarily. You're not in the same league. I wouldn't worry about it at all.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Moving on to another guy who opted out. I think this is going to be a quicker discussion. Field Yates on Twitter reported that Devin Funchess has indeed opted out of the 2020 season. If you remember, Funchess signed a 1-year, $2.5 million contract with the Packers this offseason, but he's taking home his whatever it is, $150,000 or $350,000. I don't know if he's an at-risk guy from the NFLPA. He was expected to start in 2020 with 3 receiver sets in Green Bay, despite missing the 2019 season with a collarbone injury. Davante Adams, Dave, this just increases his target share even more. My question for you is, how much do you like Allen Lazard, who had been a borderline undrafted player, but now is really the unquestioned number 2 receiver in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers this season?
I thought he's got to be drafted. He's been drafted.
Well, I'd say he was borderline because he wasn't picked everywhere. I'll tell you this right now, Allen Lazard, maybe he was picked everywhere. 1407 is wide receiver 62.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so
now does he move up to the 12th, I guess is the question.
He has gone as early as the 12-11 since this news came out. So he has gotten up there. I don't know how you feel about that. I am not very excited about any Packers receiver not named Davante Adams.
I guess I have some interest in Lazard. I don't think MVS is anything.
I agree.
And then the rest of those guys,
Kumaro, terrible. Reggie Begelton.
Yeah, Romania, St. Brown's, terrible. It's like, forget it.
For me, I just look at this as a low-volume passing offense. The Packers really have put a premium on tight ends with DeGuara and then Jay Sternberger the previous year. They have loaded up on running backs. I question how many targets are out there for receivers that are not Davante Adams. And for me, I look at other guys that are going after Allen Lazard, Dave, even after this. Michael Pittman, to me, is more interesting than Lazard.
Hunter
Renfrow, Hunter Renfrow, I would rather have than Lazard.
I'd probably rather have Lazard.
Randall Cobb, I'd rather have than Lazard.
I'll take Lazard.
You would take Lazard over Randall Cobb?
Yes, Randall Cobb is dog shit. He's been dog shit for 5 years straight now.
This tells you what I think about Alan Lazard.
God.
I don't like him at all.
I guess not.
Alan Lazard or Steven Sims?
Lazard.
Alan Lazard or Larry?
Sims is interesting. I don't know. Maybe.
Alan Lazard or Larry Fitzgerald?
Lazard.
Lazard or Denzel Mims?
Lazard.
Lazard or Mohamed Sanu?
Okay, I think I'm saying the same stuff. I mean, you keep going down.
I'm going to go the other way now. I'm going to go the other way. Lazard or Brandon Ayuk?
I'll take Ayuk there.
Lazard or Brashad Perriman? Boy, that's weird that Perriman and Mims are separated that much. God, it's like 4 rounds.
I'll take Perriman.
Lazard or N'Keal Harry?
That was pretty close too. But I mean, Harry I think has some upside, but I might take Lazard there.
You like Watkins over Lazard, right?
Yeah, Watkins.
Me too. Lazard or Justin Jefferson?
Lazard.
I actually agree on that one. Lazard or Curtis Samuel?
Lazard.
Lazard or Deshaun Jackson?
I'm going to take D-Jax.
I'm going to take D-Jax as well. I'm trying to think of that Samuel one. You said Lazard, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Boy, Samuel, I don't know. You probably don't follow this as much as I do. Samuel seems to be mentioned in every trade rumor right now.
Really?
Potentially to the Packers, by the way.
Oh.
After the Funchess thing. I'm going to lean towards Lazard. I host a couple other shows here on local radio in Northeast Wisconsin, and my co-host for both of those shows, he is a big-time Alan Lazard fan, and he thinks that there's really something there. I would just look at it from the standpoint of he's not very fast. He doesn't particularly run great routes. He's not a pedigreed guy. To me, the one thing that he did well, 2 things that he does well. One, Rodgers likes him, which is huge. And 2, when Rodgers threw to him last year, he actually did make a handful of pretty good plays. So I guess there's something for that. I'm tempering my enthusiasm. But
he went to Iowa State, right?
He's Iowa State. He put up big-time numbers at Iowa State.
Yeah, I think he's actually got some talent. I really do.
I'll say this for Lazard. He's going in the 14th round. He's probably going to be getting into the 11th or 12th round. There are a lot worse ways that you can spend an 11th or 12th round pick than Alan Lazard right now.
So he had 35 catches for 477 yards and 3 touchdowns last year.
And he didn't play all season. That was the whole season.
Second season in the NFL.
But how many games did he play? He didn't. I mean,
I'm looking right now.
Oh, okay. I just remember him being
13. Wait.
And
he only started 3 though. Technically.
Yeah, and I don't think he was a thing until, remember, Devontae Adams had that injury that knocked him out for 4 games. And that's when Lazard got called up, and he actually started making plays. You know, unlike Jake Kumro, who the Packers coaching staff and Aaron Rodgers say is so great, they sing his praises all the time, and then he doesn't get any targets or any action, Lazard actually gets out on the field and he gets targets.
Yeah, the first 5 weeks he had no catches. So he had like almost no playing time. I don't know what his snap count was, but it was obviously, well, actually his snap count he had 14 snaps in week 4, and 0 in week 1, 1 in week, so like almost none in the first 5 weeks, really. And then even, this is interesting, in week 6, he had only 17 snaps, but he caught 4 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown. And then after that, his snaps were still pretty limited, 49, 45, 25, 30. He's been a part-time player, actually. I mean, that's pretty interesting. I would say he averaged maybe 60% of snap count.
Okay.
So if he plays like 80, 90% of the snaps,
which you should as the number 2 receiver, right?
Yeah, now you're talking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's interesting.
All right. So maybe I'll have to reevaluate my thoughts on Alan Lazard, but I have not been very excited about him thus far. I could be wrong. It's happened once or twice.
I mean, the thing is, he does have Aaron Rodgers throwing to him, or Jordan Love. I'm just kidding. But I mean, I think Rodgers, he's still got plenty of gas left in his tank. I really do think so.
I'll say this in Lazard's defense, too, and this is something that I've been trumpeting to anybody who wants to listen. The Packers finished at 13-3 last year, Dave. I think they were closer to a 9-7 or a 10-6 type team, and I do think that there will be a regression this year. They actually might be a better team this year than they were last year, but I think they don't have as many wins. And if they're not going to have as many wins, it means they're not going to hold as many leads, which means the Packers are going to be throwing more in the 3rd and 4th quarter instead of riding Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams like they were in the second half of many games last season. That will probably mean more targets for Adams, Lazard, and the rest of the pass catchers there. So there's something to be said for that as well.
Good point.
Moving on to a different receiver, actually the receiver that played against the Packers in the NFC Championship, Deebo Samuel. John Lynch, who is the GM of the 49ers, said it was, quote, fair to say that Samuel might miss time in the regular season. Matt Barrows had this tweet on, Twitter. Samuel was placed on the active PUP list this past Tuesday. The reserve PUP list, which is what happens at the start of the season, is a possibility. If he's placed on that, boom, 6 games, he's done. Now, Roto-World, who we're getting this report from, says that probably won't happen. I am not convinced that probably won't happen. I think it's a very real possibility. If that is, even if it's not the case, Dave, say he doesn't get placed on the PUP list. He still could miss 3 games, maybe 4 games, maybe more. I'm not sure. How realistic is it for you to take Deebo Samuel, if you were drafting in the Footballguys Players Championship in the 9th round as wide receiver 39 right now, knowing that you could get Darius Slayton, CeeDee Lamb, Jamison Crowder after him?
Yeah, I think that is pretty early, considering that that there's a chance it could last 9 games. It could last a long time. We just don't really know. We're looking at a minimum of 3 to 4 games into the season, and I think I'd probably. What was he going before? He was going like in the 6th round, something like that.
Yep.
It's not quite enough of a discount for me.
I just look at it from the stand. I brought this up on the show before. You're playing in the FPC, the main event. You got to get off to a good start. And if you're investing a 9th round pick into a dude who might not play 4, 5, 6, or as Dave just pointed out, maybe even 9 games, where he misses almost the entire regular season for you in your fantasy football league, that's not going to cut the mustard. You need to find somewhere else to go rather than Deebo Samuel. And I mentioned a few names that are going after him that I like better. Dave's guy, Jerry Jeudy, is going after him. I think Emmanuel Sanders in New Orleans is interesting. You could be talking about the number 1 receiver in Las Vegas and Henry Ruggs, and he's going after him. And then you have a glut of interesting players here, Dave, in the 11th round going after Deebo Samuel, Mike Williams, Anthony Miller, Sterling Shepard, and Preston Williams. And don't forget about John Brown. They are all going after him. I think there's better ways to spend a 9th round pick than Deebo Samuel right now. And I liked him before the injury. His value has not come down as far as I would like to see it going forward. All right, let's move on here. And again, I apologize we can't get Scott Kirby on this week. He'll be on in a future broadcast.
Hey, Eric, why don't you tell me, what is it that you do for a living?
Yeah, well, I don't really want to get into that on the air because nobody cares about it. I feel
how can we have a show without asking you that same damn question every time?
Well, I mean, we like to, know the players that are playing in the FFPC.
I work for Vandalay Industries, a national conglomerate.
Yeah, I sell latex.
What was in Breaking Bad? What was the name of that overseas?
Madrigal?
Yeah, Madrigal. Madrigal.
Yeah.
We make food products as well as industrial cleaning.
I taste test chicken nugget dunking sauces. That's what I do there. All right, so
that was a great episode.
Yeah, so let's get into this. I'm gonna throw some questions at you that we normally ask our guests. And I'm not sure if I've asked you this season.
I don't have any prep time like your guest.
Don't worry about the prep time because you can think of this off the cuff. I feel like I've asked you this before, but this is probably a question that needs to be asked, once a season or once every other season. Top 4 tight ends going in Footballguys right now: Kelsey, Kittle, Andrews, Ertz. Would it be very important for you in a tight end premium league to get one of those 4 guys in your squad, or are you comfortable letting other people take them, loading up on backs and receivers, and then getting a couple of tight ends later that could fill the void?
Footballguys, you said?
Yeah, any tight end premium. Let's say Footballguys for a national contest.
National tournament. God, I hate to say I'm looking for value at all times. I probably would not take Kelsey in the 1st. I'd consider Ertz in the 4th if Ertz fell that far.
Yeah,
I think he kind of gets cheap. Kittle, I think, also is not cheap. He's expensive. He's late first, early second round type.
Usually late first, and then after the Samuel injury, ironically enough.
Yeah, I mean, and those are fine picks. So you have the top 4 again: Ertz,
Kelsey, Kittle, Andrews, Ertz. Yeah.
If Andrews fell past his ADP and I didn't like anybody else there, I maybe would look at him possibly. But I'm guessing he usually doesn't fall much. People like him a lot.
Over the last 4 days, the latest he's gone has been 307 in the Football Guys Players Championship, which is basically 4 picks past his normal ADP.
Yeah, I'm guessing I'm letting him go, and I would consider Ertz if he fell, because he does fall occasionally.
Mid fourth sometimes.
Yeah, mid fourth. I would definitely, if he's in the 4th round, I'm taking Ertz. Then Hunter Henry, I kind of like. I think he's interesting. Hurst, I think I like him a bit.
What about Higbee? He's been pretty polarizing. Staying away?
I'm probably going to stay away from Higbee unless, again, he fell way past his ADP, like 16 picks, 18 picks past his ADP.
You know, it's interesting you say that.
Occasionally,
his ADP is 609. He's actually gone into the 8th round over the last 4 days.
Yeah, so
that does happen.
In the 8th. Then I'd be like, all right, well, screw it. None of these guys are all on the Higbee Twitter hate train, so I'm going to take.
Some people are on the Higbee Twitter love train.
I know, exactly. So that's fine. So, I mean, especially if I'm doing multiple teams, if I have a lot of teams, if it's my only team, then I have to actually say, well, all right. I have to actually take a stand. But for me, I'm looking at the value there.
Hold on. Let me just make this inference. Is Tyler Higbee the Donald Trump of tight ends? Where you can't take a middling approach to him?
It's always binary.
Yeah. Either he's the greatest thing ever, or he is the absolute worst thing ever.
Yeah, Bryce, our buddy, an audio
engineer and best friend.
We call him Binary Bryce because he either loves it or hates it. So
cannot have a middling take on anything. It's like social media where everything goes on there and everybody feels like they have to have not only an opinion on everything, but a strong opinion on everything.
Yep, exactly. By the way, Bryce is coming to Vegas. He will be at the live events. So anyone except for Donnie T is welcome to hang out and spend as much time with Bryce.
All right. No, Donnie T's
no offense, Donnie T. Just don't get in a fight or anything.
Yeah, he'll be out there. That'll be exciting. The one tight end I don't think we brought up in this whole discussion was Darren Waller, it's weird because you have the top 4, then you have a little bit of a wait, then it's Waller, then a little bit of a wait, and then you have the next tier. So Waller's sort of on his own tier.
Yeah, he is. I like Waller. And he, like, if he fell a bit into that other tier, I would consider taking him too.
So you don't have. So it's. I guess for you, it's all about value when it comes to those tight ends. If you're not getting one, you don't mind not. You don't. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. You don't mind not getting value on the top 4. Like you're fine taking.
I don't mind not taking the top 4. Is what I.
Oh, you don't mind taking the top 4.
Right. The thing is, my position overall on tight end and FFPC is it's really important, and my strategy would be fluid, and then it just depends upon how the draft is going. If all of a sudden tight ends are getting pounded, and then Hunter Henry is available at ADP, I'm taking him at that point because it's, you know what I mean? Because
is Henry
just as an example.
But we rattle off like 8 or 9 tight ends, and I'm trying to think of who you liked out of those.
I like Ertz, I like Henry, I like Hurst.
Who would you take at ADP? Hurst, Henry, Ertz, those 3?
I would probably not.
I know I'm getting into the minutiae here, but
yes, you are.
The people want to know what the Dizzle thinks.
I think I would take. I want to take none of them at ADP. That's the point. We're
going to do value in all of them. That's fine. That's a suitable answer.
Not that it's all about ADP, because it's definitely not. But I mean, I think they're all going to have fine seasons. The ones that I kind of like.
When do you start looking for a second tight end? Does it matter when you take the first one? Like, if you take a top 4, are you going to be waiting till like 10th or 11th round to take a second one?
For sure, at the very least. I mean, if I take a top 4, I may wait even later. But if I take someone that's, let's say I take Hurst or like Austin Hooper, who let's say is 12th or 13th or something like that, I'd probably be looking to grab my second one pretty quickly after that.
Okay. Right.
And almost like quarterbacks, right? Like if you grab an early quarterback, well, you don't need to take another one for a while. But if you take, like, let's say Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz, I mean, I wouldn't mind taking Wentz and Ryan then at that point, and just going back to back. That's more of a best ball strategy.
No, I get it. That's fine. One of the blessings of a program like this tonight, Dave, when we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants, is we actually get the emails. And I don't know when's the last time we've answered more than one email on this show, but it's been a couple of months, so I'm excited to get to these tonight. Let's kick things off with Daryl in Houston. What's up, Bob and Dan? Does your evaluation of Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, Mike Gesicki, or any Dolphins change whether Ryan Fitzpatrick or Tua Tagovailoa is in at quarterback? That's Daryl in Houston. For me, Dave, I don't think it does. I'm just trying to, I guess if Tagovailoa is in at quarterback, I like these guys more, but it's not like Fitzpatrick is killing the value of any Dolphins pass catcher, to me.
I mean, Fitzpatrick has produced, so I think it's fine. In fact, it's possible that Tua could be worse. I mean, who knows? I don't know.
Do you think the rookie quarterback theorem is in play with Tagovailoa zeroing in on one pass catcher as his safety blanket? And do you think that'd be Gesicki?
I think the odds would say to favor that. Although, Preston Williams is a possible person that he zeroes in on because Preston Williams is a pretty big target, not afraid to go over the middle, and super talented. As you were kind of semi-aware, I think Devontae Parker is overrated, and I think his current ADP is too high. I think Preston Williams is the place you want to be.
Well, I've been hearing a lot of analysts over the last few weeks talking up Devontae Parker and saying people who aren't selecting him, they're sleeping on him, and they're going to regret not picking him. I don't think I'm going to regret not picking Devontae Parker this year, who's going in the mid-6. Now, granted, Preston Williams is coming off the ACL injury, Dave. He let the 11-12 turn at wide receiver 51. I mean, I like Anthony Miller at that spot. That makes a lot of sense. I like Djax after that. But Preston Williams, in fact, I think I've taken him in that spot a couple of times already this year. I like it. I think it's, and this might be hot take-ish, but I think it's a little presumptive to automatically assume Devontae Parker is going to be the number one receiver on the Dolphins this year. He might be, but I'm not necessarily betting on it right now.
I'm trying to pull up the game logs, but I mean,
I can pull them up.
I'm pulling up like the first 8 weeks. Devontae Parker was actually doing all right. He wasn't great. He wasn't terrible. Mm-hmm. Although he did have a 0 week 2 against New England when they lost 43-0.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's not good.
I got Preston Williams up in front of me.
Yeah, so I mean, Preston Williams was kind of crushing it. When did he play until week 8, line?
Week 9. Their bye week was week 5. Now he was not crushing it as much as I thought he was. But as far as his receptions go a game, Dave, 3-4-4-4, 2-6-4-5. Which it's not setting
okay,
the
so
that's essentially all right. You got 32 catches over 8 weeks, so that's about 4.5 catches a week. We extrapolate that out to a 16-game season, and all of a sudden you're looking at an 80-catch season, right?
Well, let me just read off Devontae Parker the first.
Okay, go ahead.
8 weeks or 9 weeks?
First up to week 9 was Preston Williams last week, which, by the way, 5 for 72 and 2 touchdowns.
All right, so 3-0, 3-4, 3-5, 6-4-5. Which one's the better receiver?
Well,
they're about the same.
He was coming on later, but
5, 6, 4, 5.
Well, look at Preston Williams, 2, 6, 4, 5 were his last.
They're about the same. They're kind of close.
Very close. So your thought process here is, why am I paying 6 more rounds of a premium for Devontae Parker when I can ostensibly get similar production? Preston Williams 6 rounds late.
Well, on top of that, Preston Williams, this was his rookie season, and he was pretty productive. Devontae Parker, that was his 4th, 5th season, whatever the hell season it was,
yeah.
And it took him that long to get to be that good. And, there was a lot of hype about Preston Williams. I mean, that corner Xavier Rhodes,
yeah,
he was saying he's going to be a fantasto player, and he's playing defense against him in practice. So
let me throw a few more stats at you here, Dave. I'm going to name this, but I'm going to throw it out. 8 yards, okay? 8. Okay?
All right.
Throwing it out the window. Listen to these other numbers. 15.8, 17, 11.5, 15.5, 13.7, 10.5, 14.4. Those were Preston Williams' yards per catch in all the games this season. He only had 8 yards per catch the first game. The rest of them, all 10.5 or higher. So I think there is something there as well. 3 touchdowns on the season, too. Am I wrong here?
So actually, I'm going to give Devontae Parker. I'm going to play the steel man argument for Devontae Parker. Devontae Parker did average 16.7 yards, 16.69 yards per catch all season long. That's pretty impressive.
That's really impressive.
It is impressive. So he had 72 for 1202 and 9 touchdowns. I mean, that's a pretty good season.
I mean, okay, not to bring this back to Preston Williams, Dave, but if you do extrapolate what he did over the 8 weeks he played last year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it's 8 weeks. So you double. Okay, so not an 80 catch season. I misspoke before, but that's 64 catches with that type of average, and then you're looking at 6 touchdowns if he plays. And that's again, like you said, his rookie year. You would think that there'd be some steps forward there. So,
and you do have to discount Parker's last 7 or 8 games because he didn't have Williams to go against.
That's true. All good points. All right, so moving on. My God, a lot of Dolphins talk.
We belabored that a lot.
Keith in Moundridge, Kansas. Would you guys be willing to roll the dice on Joe Burrow over Baker Mayfield in FPC drafts this season? Thanks so much, gentlemen. Thank you for the email. Keith in Moundridge, Kansas. Dave, Joe Burrow versus Baker Mayfield. National contest? Would you rather have the number 1 pick this past year or the number 1 pick 2 years ago?
It's so funny because, last year heading into the year, you'd be like, oh, Mayfield for sure. But last year heading into the year, you'd be like, who the hell is Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
So first of all, you'd have church that you would have taken Mayfield for sure last year.
Yeah. By the way, they're going back to back right now in the late 15th as quarterback 16 and 17.
I think I'm going Mayfield, I guess. I mean, it is pretty close, though.
I'm going to take Burrow, and here's why. If I am taking the 16th or 17th quarterback off the board, my guess is I already have a quarterback, and knowing how I rate on quarterbacks, it was probably quarterback 12, quarterback 13, and I'm probably taking a high upside backup. Now, Mayfield does have, obviously, upside. You think about the weapons around him. But I just look at what Cincinnati's building. I think we're discounting the injuries that they had last year. They basically got a free extra first-round pick this year with the return of Jonah Williams on that offensive line. And I think Joe Burrow, more so than a lot of other rookie quarterbacks, is not only set up to succeed with the weapons around him, he's set up to put big numbers because there's not going to be a lot of expectations on him in year 1, given that it is the Bengals, given that their defense is nothing to write home about. And I think he's going to put up a lot of big numbers similar to how he did at LSU. Now, that's not to rip on Baker Mayfield at all. I have some non-mystery box experience with Baker Mayfield, and I have the mystery boxitis with Joe Burrow. So I'm probably just throwing caution to the wind with my backup quarterback there. Now, this may remain moot for you, Dave, as I tell you the one quarterback that is being taken ahead, literally right ahead of Mayfield and Burrow in Footballguys Players Championship drafts, a guy who apparently has looked, quote, unbelievable, according to Mike Lombardi, from people he's talked to within the organization. Can you guess who that quarterback is that's going right ahead of Mayfield and Burrow, Dave?
Cam
Newton.
Yes, really?
Yes. And he looked unbelievable. And
Cam, baby.
If it gets to that spot,
if you're listening, Cam.
There's no way he's this year's Lamar Jackson, Dave. There's no way. But if you wait on quarterback and you're looking for upside and you can find a former league MVP playing for Bill Belichick who has looked unbelievable, quote, unbelievable from trusted sources.
Belichick looks?
No, Cam Newton. I'm sure Belichick looks unbelievable. When do you think Belichick hangs it up?
What?
When do you think he hangs it up? When do you think he says enough is enough and I'm done?
How old is he?
Late 60s?
He's not late 60s.
I bet he is.
Early 60s.
Are you looking it up or am I?
We both are. Let's raise.
All right. Bill Belichick was born
68. You're right. Damn.
All right. So anyway, when do you think he hangs it up?
This is his life, man. This is what he loves to do.
Yeah, I know. And
10 years.
You could be right on that. It's besides the point. In any event, what I want to get through here, if it comes down to quarterbacks at that point, Dave, Newton every day of the week and twice on Sunday ahead of Mayfield and Burrow at that point.
I do agree. I love Cam.
All right, John in Murphy, North Carolina writes, I haven't heard you guys talk much about DJ Chark or Tyler Lockett yet this summer. Who do you like better? Thank you for the email. John in Murphy, North Carolina. When's the last time you were in Murphy, North Carolina, Dave?
Never been there.
Got great craft beer there.
Yeah?
I don't know, but I'm just assuming.
I'm sure.
By the way,
they have a few microbreweries that you can put into your app.
Yeah. Okay, listen to this. So I had to do my local show today, and my co-host, it was a fill-in co-host, he said, hey, Balky.
Who was it?
Twitter was Alex Thomas, a.k.a. Senior Tequila.
I love it.
So he said, did you watch the NBA restart last night? Because it was the first day of the NBA.
And you're like, no, I have a life.
And I said, we've been without the NBA for 4 months. We've been basically without live sports for forever. So I did what any red-blooded American male would do last night. I went grocery shopping with my wife. And I did.
You got the cottage cheese.
No.
The almonds.
She did that.
Oh.
I was in the liquor department while she was there, and I wanted to check out because this is a store I don't normally go to, and I wanted to see what they had for beer.
There you go.
Woodman's.
Oh, yeah.
The other side of town. And first of all, the liquor department is staggering.
Woodman's is, if people don't know what Woodman's, it's this employee-owned, weird co-op type place. But it is massive. It's like, okay, if your normal grocery store has 10 types of ketchup, they have 36. I mean, it's insane.
That's true.
It's great. And then they have ketchup horseradish combinations and stuff. They have just weird crap you never find anywhere else. So I'm sure this was nuts for you.
Yeah. So I went to the liquor store and I was just looking at the beer. That's all I was interested in. And they had a lot of different selections. But then I was trying to find the mix of 6-pack, which is always my go-to.
Well, can you explain your obsessive compulsiveness with your beer app?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on anybody who's familiar with it. Untapped. It's a social media beer app where you can check in and earn different badges and promotions by checking in certain beers at certain times. Or
how many different beers have you had?
I'll look it up right now. Now, remember,
my over/under is 987.
It's higher than that.
Oh my god! You had over 1,000 different beers.
Yeah, and I've only been on this app I haven't even been on this app for 2 full years. I've been on here for probably about a year and a half.
Oh my god!
So right now, my stats, Dave, as I look it up here, I have checked in 1,737 different beers. 2,648 check-ins overall.
That is amazing.
Now,
really, I mean, it's truly impressive.
So here's the way
depressive.
Here's the way I cheat. When I go to breweries or different places that specialize in beer, if they have flights, I'll get a flight.
That's fine.
Of 4 or 6, and then I count each of those as a check.
But those are different beers. Those are different beers. That totally make. I think that's not cheating.
All right. So the other way I cheat, these breweries will come out with the same beer but different years, and Untapped will log those as different beers.
All right, well, that's a little bit of, you're kind of staggering, stacking, whatever. It's okay. I mean, it is a different, whatever.
Some of them truly, really are. They taste differently.
Right, yeah.
They taste differently, yeah.
Harvest or whatever the hell you call it.
Well, I mean, you're brewing it in a different year, so
it's a different batch.
You would think that the hops are going to be slightly different.
Yeah.
The barley is going to be slightly
different. Batch.
Right. Anyway. So I go to the mix of 6, and there's good stuff there. Then I stumble upon the discount ones, the ones they were overstocked on.
Which is probably a lot, knowing Woodman's.
And for me, I love good beer, but I just love craft beer in general. So
even loves cheap beer better.
Well, here's the thing: what a lot of people would say is bad beer, if
it's probably good.
I wouldn't say it's good, but I still like to. I still enjoy it.
Try it, right?
I've had some bad beer, but it's very little. So I'm seeing all these discounted beers, like a 12-ounce craft beer that would normally be $5 or $6, $1.99. I'm seeing a 16-ounce tall boy that you would normally pay $7 or $8 for, $2.99.
The thing is, a beer can be good. It's just a matter of if they have too much of it that hasn't sold.
Right.
So I mean, it's fine. Go ahead.
So anyway, I was looking for a 6-pack carrier, so I can fill up a 6-pack.
You need like 4.
Hold on. Couldn't find any. So I went up to the clerk. I said, "Hey, do you have any of the mix of 6-pack?" "Oh, no, we don't have any of those. We ran out." "Oh, okay, well, what do I do?" She said, "I just bring them all up."
One by one?
Couldn't hold them in my hands. I had to go get a shopping cart.
Yes.
And I already had a 6-pack of this German beer I wanted to try that they didn't sell individually. And so I put that in my cart. I bought 16 loose cans of beer.
That's great.
And along with what I received with the beer, along with receiving a receipt, I got a lot of long looks from the people behind me in the checkout.
That's hilarious. So they had each one. Did they have to bag each one in like a paper bag? I mean, that's got to be.
They put them in the paper. They put them all in a paper bag.
Right, so each one is individually put.
Well, I mean, they put each one individually in the bag, but there was no protection or any case or anything that they put in.
That'd be interesting.
And I'll tell you something. It's so great.
This is a great
because I went home and I put them in my fridge, and I'm like, I can't, I'm not going to drink 16 craft beers in one setting, but to know I have access to that in my fridge and they're all cold, all stuff I've never had before, all stuff I'm excited to try.
Yeah.
That is a special kind of feeling.
It's like future adventure. Good for you.
Future adventure. That's a great way of putting it. So I'm very excited.
Anyway. I'm going to have this, maple wheat crap from wherever the hell it is.
You know what's funny is the majority of them were IPAs. There's a couple of coffee stouts in there.
Meyer hates the IPAs.
Yeah, I mean, at two-packer I get it. Now, two-packer, I think, likes those darker porters and stouts, which those are probably my favorite. A coffee,
just for our audience so they know, I drink wine, I don't drink beer.
Coffee stout brewed with chili flakes and a little bit of dark chocolate, to me, that's got to be good. Heaven in a bottle. Yeah. That is perfect for me.
Spicy, tasty, yeah.
Our good buddy Jim Cole, who we see in Kentucky and Vegas every year, he brews his own beer, and he usually brings some to Kentucky, and I love to try it. He makes really good beer.
Does he?
Yeah, and he's in the
last name Cole, that's like a good brand name. Cole Porter. Cole Stout.
Yeah, no, he has his own brand name, and I can't remember what it's called. God damn it! This is really going to irritate me. But he has his own brand name. I've actually logged him in on Untappd, so I can check to see what they're at. It's not the point. The point is Chark versus Lockett. We haven't talked about either one of these guys a whole lot this year, Dave. They're basically going very, very close in Football Guys drafts right now. DJ Chark, 504. Tyler Lockett, 505. Wide receiver 21, wide receiver 22. If you can only pick one, who are you picking this year between those two receivers?
Normally I'd love to go with the Russell Wilson. I think he's a fantastic quarterback, but I'm going to take Chark. I think he's just a more talented player. He has a little more upside, too. I mean, because this is his third season, and he had a really great sophomore year. So I'll take Chark. And oddly enough, I think there might be more volume for Chark, more targets than with Lockett.
All right, so I agree with some of what you said. I do agree it's Chark over Lockett, and I'm going to do the KISS method here. Keep it simple, stupid. Chark is the number one target for Jacksonville. Tyler Lockett is not the number one target for Seattle.
He's either 1A or 1B.
Probably he is not the number one. But yeah, he's 1B, I think is a good way of describing it. I still think Lockett might be the more talented of the two, but I just look at Seattle and what they're going to be doing this year and where they are at as a team. And then I look at Jacksonville and what they're going to be doing this year and where they're at as a team. And one of those teams screams playing from behind, throwing the ball a lot in the second half. The other one screams Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde, every single game in the second half. And so for these, now you could make a case for maybe I get Chark and then I get Lockett later. The fact that they're going back to back,
you ain't getting them both.
I just think Chark represents the bigger boom, the bigger upside, the bigger ceiling. So I am going to go with Chark over Lockett. And it's one of those things too, Dave, where, oftentimes I've said on this show, sometimes I'll take Chark, sometimes I'll take Lockett. When it gets to be that point in the draft, I'll want to even it out a little bit. And I'll if I took Chark last draft, I'll take Lockett this draft. No, I'm taking Chark every time. And it's not much of a decision for me.
There you go. Cool.
All right, moving on. I want to get to one last email tonight. Sound good? And we'll wrap it.
Sure.
Mike in Yukon, Oklahoma. Dear Marion and Amon.
What is that supposed to mean?
I don't know. Marion and Amon. Between two of... Oh, I know what it is. Between two of the big overachievers in fantasy last year, who are you willing to put stock into? Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones, or neither? Thanks so much, Mike in Yukon, Oklahoma. Did you notice this? Chargers running back, Packers running back. Marion, Butts, Amon, Green. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So Eckler and Aaron Jones. Do you like either of these? And don't answer this yet, as my website fails me. Okay, go ahead.
I do like Aaron Jones. I think that I think